Hi, in this video we'll be continuing with the C# video tutorials. In this video we'll be discussing reading a file with a loop and detecting the end of the file to start. Then we'll do a lab. So we've already talked about this in the notes, if you've seen the notes. So you should have seen the notes. Well, I should have posted that before this video. So hopefully you've seen that. We'll do some more notes here, just code notes though. So I'm just going to start down here, continue from the last video. So here we'll have I said reading a file with a loop and detecting the end of file. So in C, just normal C programming, they end of file is referenced with EOF, and then there's a special shortcut to get out of it on the keyboard, kind of like a command shortcut. Because a lot of the programs that you use in C are actually just command programs used for networking and stuff like that. But in this case we have something else. So in C# it's similar but it's different. So quite often a program must read the contents of a file without knowing the number of items that are stored in the file. So let me just go back to the notes that we've already discussed on this. Let me just try to find that. So using files for data storage. What do we have here? I know we did do it, so I have it somewhere. Apologize for that. Here we go. So we have basically reading a file with a loop. We already talked about this. So stream reader objects have a Boolean property named end of stream. So instead of end of file, it's called end of stream, and it's not just EOS, it's actually end of stream, the whole word. So it's like end of stream. So that's C#. So I guess it's a keyword. So it's not EOS, but EOF is C programming. So it's used in C programming. I guess end of stream is just a keyword. They decided to use the whole word. Microsoft decided to use the whole 3 words instead of EOS. Perhaps they wanted to branch out C# and make it more like Java completely, and maybe they didn't like C at all, but they wanted to call it C# for some reason. Either way, I think it's good. It's good to have C# like that anyways. Kind of builds a bridge to Java and has another bridge going to C and C++, so it's good that they did do that. So here we have let's assume something here. So let's assume input file references a stream reader object that is associated with a file that is already open. So let's assume input file is references a stream reader object that is associated with a file that is already open. So assuming that, I know it's kind of confusing, but just know that you can use this statement at least. I know the actual kind of theory, or just kind of stating that in English is kind of like, well, what exactly is happening? Kind of like what we did up here. So assume an input file references a stream reader object that's like here. Stream reader input file, that's the object reference variable. Basically that's what they're saying references. Input file references a stream reader object that is associated with a file that is already open. That is basically, they could have said that is, well, that's kind of me, but the way I think of it is that, well, because this is pointing to, that memory location, so the stream reader input file object reference variable is pointing to file.openText, so basically a file that is already open, that's what they said. So basically just assume something like this. Stream reader input file, and then input file points to file.openText or create text or append text, whatever. Right, so after that here, I know I made it crystal clear for you guys, because that's what I do. So here we have while, so let's just say we have an example then. So we say while input file dot end of stream. While input file dot end of stream, so basically it's checking. Remember, it's a Boolean method that we talked about in the notes. So while input file dot end of stream points to false. You could have called not end of stream, but points to false is good too. So basically it's saying while input file dot the end of stream, basically while there's still data in the file. So while input file dot end of stream equals to false, basically while there's still data and while it's still processing data. While there is still data, while input file object is still processing data, slash data is still in the file. That's basically what it's asking in that case. Then we'll just say we want to read item from the file, or a string. Then here we want to process the item. So once again, you can change this to not while not input file dot end of stream, which would be the same thing as points to false. We've talked about that in the notes, and we've also talked about that in when we discuss Boolean stuff. Basically Boolean, what have we discussed? Maybe just Boolean types, I think. So that's pretty much it. So you can use end of stream when you need to. There's other ways to check. How did you do it in Java? I'm just trying to remember. It's been a while. I don't really process too many text files. Sometimes you do that in Android because you have to store data in text files. I'll be doing some examples of that later on. At least soon, hopefully. As long as I can get out enough videos of the normal languages, and I can get those out on the weekend. I'm just trying to think how I did that. It's definitely on my channel. I've definitely processed files in Java like that before. I think you can just say while you can say while write. I think you can just call while readline or writeline does not equal to an empty string. So something like while, you could probably do it the same thing in C#. So while input file dot readline. So we've used readline here. I wonder if this might work as well. That should work too. could always make a console app and try that out, but you could always test things like this and see if it works. Basically that's just saying, well, input file.readLine does not point to an empty string, which means that if the string's not empty, then the string is full. That means there's a string. That should be able to do that as well. Basically, the same thing as this. File.endOfStream seems to be easier. Well, it just depends. If both things do the same, then it's the exact same thing. Doesn't really matter which one you use. You might want to loop that though. Yeah, that should work because it takes the next line. So if there's nothing on the next line at all, then it should work. You can always test it out to make sure that it works out perfectly. Okay, so now let's do the lab. So this lab assumes that we have a text file full of data, so I'm just going to use a text file such as the one we've used before, this C# text file or whatever. C# file.txt. You can just put some random data in a text file like strings. You can place on your desktop or documents, whatever, and then we can write a path to it. So what I've done here so far is I think I'm missing something here. So here I have a list box. Just call it a list box, camel cased. Then we'll have a button here as well. We'll call it just get strs or whatever. Get strs button. So let's just open this here. Open that. I'm in Writer once again. So I'm just going to put one button. We'll leave the exit button out. So we'll just go with that here. Then I'll change the identifier to get strs button. I'll change auto size to true. Change the text to something bigger so we can see. I don't think I turned on auto size. Okay, there we go. So then I'll change the text to get strings or something. That's fine. Actually, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Okay, so that's fine. So that should be everything. Get strs button. List box. Okay. So back to the code here. Actually, whoops, let me generate that event handler by double clicking that button. Comment out this, or just delete it. Okay, so now let's have let me just get the code here. Okay, so we're going to fill a list box with the data from the text file. I think that's the point here. Alright, so let's code this up. So we have, let's go for a try here at the top. Oh, are you serious? It's still doing that? That's so annoying. Okay, so try, I just use Control Z, it kind of helps with that. So try here, we'll go with string str. Let's go with a local str. Then we'll say stream reader. Input file. Whoops, what am I typing here? Input file. Stream reader input file. Here we'll say input file. Input file points to file dot open text. Let me open this path here. Remember, we're going to have to include an @ symbol. for a C# path. So then we'll have the @ symbol here. I'll say C. I'll type in my path for the computer. C# file.txt, I think that's what I called it. Okay. I don't think there's really that much data in the file. Hopefully there's enough. So we'll clear anything in the list box. So we'll say listbox.items.clear. Okay, so we're going to clear the items. Then we'll say, we'll use a while loop here. While not. So while not input stream. Nope. While not input file dot end of stream. That's saying, what is that saying? That's saying while input.end of stream points to false. So while input file.end of stream points to false, which means that while the input file's end of stream points to false. So basically while there's still data in the file, so while input file.end of stream, which means that it's not the end of stream. So while the input file.end of stream. So basically this is saying while input file's end of stream points to false, which means that it's not the end of stream. Kind of tricky to, it's kind of confusing, but that's what it means. So basically while there's data still in the file, because it's saying while input file dot end of stream points to false, so it's saying while there's still data in the file. Then we'll say str points to input file dot read line, right? Because we're going to get the line in the file. Then we'll say listbox dot items dot add str. Then after all that, we'll say, okay, input file dot close. Right. Nothing too bad here. Pretty straightforward stuff. Pretty simple. Like once you kind of think about it. It's not that difficult. Same thing we've done this like hundreds of times. Java, C, Python, Android. We've done the same thing over and over again. It's just using a few different keywords. There's an extra step here. We're creating an object reference variable of type streamReader to point to a static class. This is method. We're creating a streamReader object reference variable here named input file, which are pointing to a static file class's OpenText method. Then this listbox.items.clear is a little there's more elements here because of the GUI. But I still think C# is a little bit easier to use than JavaFX. I think C# had it right, because the properties in JavaFX are pretty complicated. Android also had it right. They kind of took that Java and made it easy to use it with the Android framework. So I'd say this is pretty close to the Android framework here. But JavaFX on its own, I don't think it's that good, and I think that's why it didn't really get as far, because it was too complicated with the properties and all that. It was hard to use. This is easier. This feels a lot easier. This feels like Android pretty much right here. So I'll try to show you guys some tutorials on Android coming up. There's only 5 videos, but they're going to be long. They're like several hours each. But there's a lot of information in those. So I'll try to do those. Actually, no, yeah, they'll be about 6 hours. I'm assuming maybe 5 to 6 hours each, because there's also the XML part of that. Just kind of running through it. But I'll try to put up a good series for you guys for Android and XML. Okay, so here we have while not input file points, or while not input file dot end of stream. So while there's still data in the file, call our local str, point it to the input file dot readLine method, which will point to a line in the file, a string. Then that string is added to the list box, which is going to go here. So whatever you have in the file, I think we have blueberries are blue and cherries are red. So it'll have blueberries, then R, then blue. Actually, no, yeah, that's right. So 3 different lines. Blueberries are blue, and then cherries are red is on one line. So we should have 4 different items in our list box. So let's just remember to cache that exception at the bottom here. Keyboard's glitching out again. So input file dot close. Then here we'll have catch. Nope, that's wrong. Should do it under the try block, my bad. So here we'll have catch. We'll have a catch here, exception. So then here we'll have message box dot show exception dot message with no parentheses. And that's it. That's the code. So that's pretty much it. That's all the concepts here. Nothing too hard. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys liked the video, you can like and subscribe to the channel for more programming and investing tutorials to support the channel. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video, which where we'll be learning about calculating a running total, which we've done before. So we'll do the code example. Actually, it's probably just going to be a lab. It'll be a lab, and then we're done. So we'll move on to the open file dialog and the save file dialog controls. We'll speed through that, and then we're pretty much we'll do some random numbers and the load event, and then we'll be moving on to what are we doing after that. I'm just curious to see. So after all that, we'll be getting into methods. So writing our own methods, kind of like this, because we've been working just in event handlers here. So now we're going to actually create and learn how to write our own methods. So that should be real easy. What else are we doing after that? So parameters to methods, all that, void, different types of methods, string methods, double, int, decimal methods, perhaps methods that return object references to controls. Then after that, we'll be moving on to arrays and lists, which are also very easy. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next bit of videos. And yes, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.